afternoon YouTube, I'm Delhiocity and this is New Delhi. Today I'm going to be talking about something that's been affecting me quite a lot lately, and I'll try to keep it as short and simple as possible. So the topic is engine braking versus regular braking on a bike like this which does not have ABS or slipper clutch. Okay, so when you have a bike, a non-ABS bike, you've got to be a little extra careful while braking, because there is always the risk of your wheels locking up because there's no ABS to stop that from happening. So yeah, that risk is always there. And when I got this bike, the way I used to brake is how everyone would. I would use both my brakes and use more of the front brake obviously. But the problem in this bike is that the rear wheel tends to lock up really soon. So even under moderate braking, the rear wheel would lock up and my bike would start to skid. If the intensity was great enough, it would even fishtail. And then I realized that I'm always going to be facing the problem of rear wheel lockup. So slowly I started to learn how to lock up the rear wheel but not lose balance. Controlled fishtailing. That's what I started to practice. But I noticed that locking up the rear wheel causes it to wear out very fast as compared to what it would naturally, and that's not really a good thing because you don't want your wheel wearing out that fast. I have a Ralco 140/70 rear tire, and this thing has come to the end of its life in just 13,000 kilometers. It's not a soft compound tire, it's not an expensive tire, but still it's almost at par with the MRF torque tire that comes with this bike, but it still wore out very quickly because my wheel was locking up. And then I spoke to a few people from some of my riding groups, asking them about better braking techniques, and somebody recommended engine braking. So I looked up what engine braking is, and basically what happens in engine braking is, instead of pulling in the clutch, you don't pull in the clutch, so your rear wheel stays engaged, stays connected to the engine, and when you want to brake, you just let go of the throttle and apply front brake. And what happens is the engine braking causes the rear wheel to slow down, but it's never great enough to cause the rear wheel to lock up. So in a way, you can get quite good braking performance from the rear wheel without actually locking up your wheel, because engine braking never does that unless you jump down 3 to 4 gears and stuff. Maybe then you could lock up your rear wheel, but other than that it doesn't occur normally. You just drop down 1 or 2 gears. So I started doing engine braking. My main requirement while looking for an alternative braking technique was to get better braking performance in panic situations where I would normally hit the rear brake quite hard and that would cause it to lock up instantly. And so I started engine braking. I started using this. In order to develop any skill, you need to practice. So I started practicing engine braking on my bike, and what I would do is use it all the time to get the hang of it. Whenever I had to slow down, I would just drop a few gears and then give a little front brake to slow down. So I started practicing engine braking and I was using it daily, and what I noticed is that engine braking does quite a lot of damage, or it wears your gearbox very fast. Now why am I saying that? Because just after 2 or 3 days of using engine braking on a regular basis, my bike would kind of slip into neutral every time I upshifted from 5th gear into 6th gear. That was one thing. And then it would come back, it would jump back into the 5th gear, even though I made sure that I changed the gear. That was the first thing. And the second thing was when I would try to wheelie. Now I don't know how to wheelie, but occasionally I do try clutch ups. My bike would make loud clicking noises if I would rev the first gear really high and then shift into 2nd gear. So these seem like symptoms of gearbox damage to me, heavy wear and tear on the gearbox. And now the conclusions that I've drawn from this whole situation is that engine braking is great if you know how to do it, but if you plan to practice it on your vehicle, it's not such a good idea because you'll be wearing out the gearbox really fast. And what do I plan to do? I plan to use regular braking, with the rear brake, and I'll need to learn how not to lock up the rear wheel. So yeah, that's my take on it, engine braking versus regular braking. And yeah, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I took a new route while coming back from college today, just so that there's something different to see. And yeah, my Chandigarh video will be up maybe tomorrow or day after, and after that I'll do Dehradun and Mussoorie too. They are to be edited. Subscribe to my channel to get those videos on your news feed when they come out. And yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. See you later.